Alrighty, folks, let's try this one more time. We've been dealing with some technical difficulties, but hopefully this one is the right one and the one that we will go with for the rest of the night. But ladies and gentlemen, sim racing fans, this is it. The race that we've been all waiting for months on end. It's the one that decides who comes out of Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series as sim racing's next champion. Over the past 5 months, since mid-April at Daytona, nearly 30 of sim racing's best had tackled some of North America's premier auto racing facilities virtually, along with one overseas as well, in the chase for the illustrious Earl Ross Cup. Tonight, we have come down to 4 drivers set to do battle in quite possibly the most important race of their sim racing careers. It's round number 21 on the season and the last of 2025. Welcome to the Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix Raceway, the track where we crowned our first champion back in 2020, and we're looking forward to returning back to it to crown another champion here tonight. And of course, welcome back to the broadcast booth. I'm Regan McCauley. Alongside me, Jordy Carraher, of course, who's been here since the very beginning, has covered all the championship finales. A couple more than me, of course, but Jordy, we've come a long way since we first got started 5 months ago in the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. We've seen some of the best racing that this series has to offer. We've witnessed career-defining moments, heartbreaking misfortunes, and sim racers putting everything on the line for one big season-end goal that they're finally going to try and reach here tonight. We were left with 12 drivers to start the playoffs in early August. Now we have 4 remaining for one final race, a winner-takes-all sudden death finale back at the place where, as I said, 5 years ago, this is where the first driver got their name carved on the illustrious Earl Ross Cup.
Yeah, and for our Championship 4, I'll just keep it quick. There's really not much else to say. The objective is plain as day. Just make sure you're aware of what your fellow competitors are doing around you, and it's 156 laps separating one of those 4 drivers and the Earl Ross Cup. Maybe we get a new winner. Maybe we get our first multi-time champion, Scott Bailey. We'll have to see. But, I don't want to waste too much more time here.
Me neither. We will try to whiz through this as quickly as we can because drivers are lined up and gridded, ready to go. So, of course, this is still the Valvoline Instant Oil Change pre-race show. So, thanks to them for sponsoring pre-race show, post-race show, and also our team standings. Of course, very quickly from last Monday night at the Pizza Main 200 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the second and final race of the round of 8, which decided our championship 4 overall, or at least the 3 remaining spots, because this driver already won the Charlotte Roval race the couple weeks prior to start the round of 8. He swept the round of 8 entirely, now 4 for 6 in playoff races this season, and now 1 win away from number 1 on the all-time wins list. 11 wins on the season. They obviously the heavy favorite going into tonight's event, of course, second-year driver Jordan Kalenian, the 00 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, picking up the win with a last-lap pass against rookie Blake Throneburg in one of the most dramatic Earl Ross Cup playoff races that we have ever contested within the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. A lot of drivers took some significant gambles in Sin City, as they call Las Vegas, to say the very least. Number of late cautions, overtime restart, as I said, last lap pass and steal for the win by Jordan Kalenian. Final 2 corners right underneath the number 3, and he was able to beat him by 64 one-thousandths of a second at the line, and that also all came after a catastrophic accident for one of our other playoff drivers, who unfortunately, because of it, was ultimately eliminated from playoff contention and getting into this final race here tonight at Phoenix Raceway, of course, being our defending Earl Ross Cup champion, Corbin McCauley, in the number 17. He won the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue pole. He led the most laps, was in prime position to win his way into the Final 4 until a wreck on a late race restart, so that ended his chances right there. So as you see with these quick race results here, Kalenian, Throneburg, Justin Belmonte, Raymond Hanneman, and Scott Bailey, your top 5 finishers. Justin Belmonte started towards the back. He charged his way up to a podium finish, albeit without many stage points, but he just didn't have enough to seal the deal for a Championship 4 spot. Raymond Hanneman proved much stronger with stage points and ran up front all day, earning his way into the Final 4 on points. And then Scott Bailey, a former champion back in Season 4, had a ton of pressure going into the night, 12 points below the cut line, but put forward an outstanding effort out of a subpar qualifying result. He scored the most points out of anybody, go figure being his car number, that's how many points, and capitalizing on the late misfortune for Corbin McCauley to inch his way into the Final 4 on points. Mason Tomlinson, as you see, finishing in 6th, and then there's a Ty Hingham all the way down there in 15th. Both of them had to win to make their way into the Championship 4. Unfortunately, they came up short. There's also Bryce Fontaine in there, who led 35 laps and won a stage, but he was caught up in that late incident with Corbin McCauley. So again, those are your final results. 18 cars taken to the track for the Pizza Main 200. And it results in this Championship 4, where we have 4 drivers set to do battle here tonight for this winner takes all race. The highest finishing of these drivers is going to walk away an Earl Ross Cup champion. We have 2 rookies, 2 veterans. I don't know if you'd classify Jordan Kalenian as a veteran since he is a second-year driver, but nonetheless, based on experience, sure, we'll put it that way. There's 1 former series champion. The other 3 are going to be looking for their first. You know, Kalenian, after finishing second last year to Corbin McCauley, he'll want to go 1 position higher, especially as the winningest driver this season. And, of course, a single-season win record that he pulled off as well. Looking to add on to that with win number 12 here tonight. 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. There's a whole bunch of storylines, everything here on the line, everything all over the place for this Championship 4. So again, highest finisher of these 4 drivers will walk away the champion tonight. That is the one simple goal. You don't have to win the race. You just have to be the highest finishing. That is all that matters. Of course, there's also quickly the best of the rest standings. Jared Ireland still leads the way in car number 13. His plus 57 lead did drop to plus 52, but I would imagine, yeah, as long as he starts the race tonight, I'd say he is pretty much the best of the rest champion for 2025. There is also very quickly the Rookie of the Year standings, where Blake Throneburg extended his lead by 3 points over Raymond Hanneman. I would say mathematically he is also essentially your Rookie of the Year for this season. Sure. I mean, if he were to come on out over Raymond Hanneman over on the Championship 4 anyways, then that would still classify him anyways as the Season 6 E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series Rookie of the Year. There's some other standings that we do not have updated graphics for with the teams and manufacturers, but we can pretty much say that Tornado Alley Racing and Toyota have come on out with those respective championships mathematically at this point. So again, that's all the stuff from last week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Of course, we got to get to tonight here for the Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix Raceway. Drivers are already lined up. Yeah, towards the exit of pit road, ready to go. 15 cars ready to do battle. Of course, it'll be all before just simply going out and trying to pick up a win, end their season on a high note. And then there's 4 of them that will try to go for a win and also try to come out of here as the next champion of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Jordy, do you have anything left? Any extra words before we get these engines fired up?
Like I said before, there's nothing really left to say. It's all about the on-track performance now. It's down to those 4, and I'm looking forward to some fireworks in the desert.
I'm sure we all are, and all the people that are tuned in here to our live stream. I see already over 20 concurrent viewers ready to watch the action here, of course. Head into our live chat and let us know who you're cheering on, where you're cheering from, and let us know, give us your picks. Who do you think is going to come on out here with a championship? Be interactive with us. Make this one a show for the ages between you guys and also with these drivers here on the racetrack to end this season strong. It's been one for the ages for our 3rd season within the iRacing era of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. So I'm going to quickly head to the iRacing voice chat. These guys will finally be able to hear my voice after all these technical difficulties. And we'll get these engines fired up with the most famous words in motorsports.
And to those viewers, thank you so much for your patience to this point.
Yes, exactly that as well.
Blake.
And finally, my voice arrives. Do we have a copy?
Yes.
Sounds good. Again, appreciate all the patience out of all you guys through all these technical difficulties. But again, we still want to make sure that this broadcast is still started the way it should be. It's a championship finale. We have to treat it that way. So again, thank you very much for all your patience. And of course, welcome to round number 21, the final race for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing, the Blackfly Championship race here at Phoenix Raceway. Again, thanks to Blackfly for hopping on as the title sponsor for this grand finale to our 3rd season within the iRacing era, our first time crowning a champion at this track since Season 1 in 2020. Blake Throneburg, Raymond Handyman, Jordan Kalenian, Scott Bailey, congratulations on making it to the Championship 4. Best of luck to each and every one of you. Give us a hell of a show to go for that Earl Ross Cup. And everybody else, try and go out, get that win, end your season on a high note. And with all that being said, gentlemen, for one final time in 2025, start your engines. And finally, we're going to be able to get going here. All the engines have been fired up. Cars are rolling onto the racetrack. And we'll get the music queued up for one final time as well to introduce the starting lineup for tonight's Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix Raceway. Hopefully the music is going. And we'll get the starting lineup queued up here on the screen. On the front row, it's the 2 rookies in the Championship 4 for this season. Of course, Blake Throneburg out of Graham, North Carolina in car number 3. Raymond Haneyman in the 85 will start in second on his outside of Ottawa, Ontario. Jared Ireland, your best of the rest championship leader in 3rd place. And then it's Jordan Kalenian, of course, 11-time winner this season, starts in 4th in the 00. Has won the last 2 races, looks to go for 3 in a row. CD Mangrum rounding at the top 5. Then there's the other Championship 4 driver in Scott Bailey in 6th. And you know what? It sounds like we're actually going green flag racing now. We'll just get through the rest of the grid as we get going, but the Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix is underway.
God damn it. So I don't really care if that was heard. Like, I thought there were going to be more pace laps on that. So if anyone was screwed by that, that is a sincere my bad. It's an all hands on deck situation.
We'll get through the rest of the drivers as this thing goes on, but we are green flag racing here. The final race for season number 6, and Raymond Haneyman out to the early lead over Blake Throneburg again. Those are your two rookies within this Championship 4 leading the way. Jordan Kalenian will have a bit of work to do as he is side by side with Scott Bailey. It's your final 4 drivers all within the top 4 right now. They were top 4 back in practice as well. I don't recall exactly if that was the way practice ended as well, but there was one point when those 4 were all together right there in the top 4, but good to see here, of course, for the Championship 4. Of course, you want to have all of them running up front and battling it out for one of sim racing's most prestigious accomplishments.
Yeah, it didn't take long for the Championship 4 to get together. They were starting 1, 2, 4, and 6 regardless. And, I mean, the best way to keep an eye on your opponent is to make sure you're right there with them. And like I said, Championship 4 not wasting any time getting into that particular groove. And we'll see who was able to kind of establish an early rhythm here.
We'll get through the rest of the field very quickly here as this thing goes on. Jared Ireland in there in 5th at the moment, your best of the rest championship leader, and I'd say mathematically he has essentially clinched it at this point. There's Justin Melmani back there in behind. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the Championship 4, but the Darlington winner, we called him the playoff bubble buster before we got playoff racing, just a couple of races before we got underway at Bristol. He was able to win his way in as Jose Mercado is in trouble down the back straightaway, but he gets it back going.
Yeah, I suppose it would help if I actually had the race feed in front of me. I was watching iRacing with Championship 4 on the separate computer, but yeah, now I'm seeing it.
I'd love to get through the rest of the field at some point, but how about this? Your entire Championship 4 is just separated by half a second.
And I don't think we really should have expected anything different at this point. And again, they were relatively close off the start to begin with. Throneburg grabbing that final pole position of the year. And we'll see if he's able to hang on.
Indeed,
a long way to go, though.
Race analysis, of course, this race is 156 laps. These stages are 30, 62, and 64. So, not for the Championship 4 drivers, but for everybody else, there could be some positions at play. Some drivers could end up going up a position higher with points and everything, because they're kind of back in that little point situation there. So the drivers that were eliminated after this previous round, they could still be fighting for at least one position higher, or maybe even 2, when this is all said and done. But of course, for these final 4 drivers, they're essentially just breaks to try and reset and get back going and try to go for that championship at the end of this one. Fuel window was somewhere between 40 and 45 laps. I was getting conflicting reports on that one before we got going here, but around then we should expect some stuff. Again, we've seen before Geordie drivers taking a chance in the early going. Some drivers try to go way beyond the window. There's a lot of parity when it comes to that sort of a case there. Of course, the defending winner is the 17 of Corbin McCauley from last year when this race was earlier in the season at Phoenix Raceway, which, by the way, yes, the 1 mile, 1.6 kilometer dogleg oval in the suburbs of Avondale, Arizona. It's located just over a half hour west of Phoenix, Arizona. Track opened in 1964. It originally served as a home for Southwest open wheel racing, but since 1988, it's hosted NASCAR, and since 2020, it's hosted the championship race, the finale for all 3 of the top national touring series for NASCAR. And of course, it's been through a lot of changes over the years. As I'm saying that, here comes Jordan Kalenian.
Indeed so. A couple of North Carolina boys, 1-2 right now. 2 does not matter. So if you have one of your opponents ahead. Second, I mean, it's like Alexander Degg infamously said about 30-ish years ago after being drafted number 1. Came back to haunt him, of course, but he said, no one remembers who comes in second.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Okay, NASCAR verbiage, yes, that too.
As the good old Ricky Bobby once said.
Yes.
We were riding on board there with Blake Throneburg and now Jordan Kalenian here as you see these drivers make their way around the Phoenix Raceway. Still with Blake Throneburg leading the way. Of course, this track has been through a lot of changes ever since it was first opened up and first started hosting NASCAR racing, especially in 2017 when the start-finish line was changed from the main straightaway, as you saw there. It's basically the back stretch. It used to be the front stretch, to just before the dog leg. And this track at one point where you see there with that dog leg, that used to be entirely grass. So there was only kind of a 2 or 3 lane situation way up high on the racetrack. But now, completely different story, especially when it comes to restarts. These drivers can dive all the way down to the inside wall and try to send it through 1 and 2 the best they can.
Yeah, and obviously that provides an entirely different look to what any of these drivers would have seen throughout the rest of the NASCAR season, whether it's your super speedways, your inner configurations, road or street courses. I mean, that kind of just a more sweeping angle that you're seeing rather than following a conventional racing line, that completely changes the game. And who knows, if someone finds a better balance coming through that section, hey, maybe there's an answer speed-wise there, and a good way to move up the board to finish up the season on a high, as I'm now seeing a cartoon of myself on the screen.
Yeah, Tom Janikowski, driver of the number 93 Zesty Paws Chevrolet, put together a little bit of a thing, and he revealed it behind the scenes within our E-Motorsports Network community. And yes, he decided to put on a bit of a Canada, USA, a thank you to Zesty Paws and the E-Motorsports Network, and then decided to put together a cartoon version of the both of us on the rear quarter panels.
He did, and yes, if he happens to do that again, I will do my best to make sure I have 1 or 2 less chins for him to work with.
Yes, something like that, but it's great to see her, the 93. Of course, again, thank you to Tom Janikowski out of Appleton, Wisconsin, and of course, sponsoring Zesty Paws Pet Supplements. We had the Zesty Paws Challenge earlier in this season, so great support out of them here in season number 6, and they also sponsored a couple of races, including the 300 at Charlotte, also the 250 at Bristol to start off the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup Playoffs. So a lot of separation now throughout most of this field as everyone has kind of figured out this place. Now coming to lap number 19 of 156. You saw the race analysis earlier, so now you have an idea of how this race will go. We'll have a couple of breaks. Again, for the Championship 4, the stage points are not going to matter whatsoever. It might give us a good idea of how they're doing throughout the race with the short runs and the long runs and all that, but regardless, again, the top 4 still being the Championship 4 entirely, and then you have your best of the rest guy in 5th still hanging on. Number 1 is C.D. Magrum is back there in 6th out of Atlanta, Georgia for Nordic Aluminum, and Tornado Alley E-Racing, our winner at Richmond and Kansas. Justin Melmonte 7th. Mike Marini in 8th, one of our longtime drivers since the very beginning in the Sweet North number 12 Toyota. Kyle Knoll for Storm Surge Esports. And there might have been nearly contact there between the 50 and the 12 early as soon as we get the cameras off of them. The Folgers 25, rookie Matthew McDonald out of Calgary, Alberta. Trying to go for a top 10 finish here to end off his first year with us.
Yeah, he's had his moments.
Yes, yeah, 100%. As Kyle Knoll diving it in underneath Mike Marini for 8th, and he will shut the door there. Andy Hurdle, the number 7 at a Dayton, Ohio for 519 Atlantic Motorsports, is hanging around 11th. Then there's your Season 3 champion, Ty Higginbottom at a Kansas City, Missouri for Tornado Alley E-Racing. I mean, it's right there on the race car, so in great view there. 41 of Jose Mercado at a Kissimmee, Florida for GTR Motorsports, another long-timer since the very beginning. Already talked about Tom Janikowski, and then good to see this guy back on the racetrack for the first time since...
It's been a minute.
Dover.
Yeah, that's not yesterday. But, I mean, he's been very busy with the operation, and of course we've seen Little Rescue and Audrey's Legacy's impact on our series as well through sponsorship of at least one race and also the Lucky Turtle throughout the season. So thankful to have those worthy causes on board with us as well.
Which, for the record, if we do end up having our lucky turtle or lucky dog or free pass, however you want to call it, you'll see this.
Yes. That's arguably been the highlight of the season.
Yes. Thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, never a complaint whenever Audrey comes up.
No, sir. What else do we got? Yeah, the weather info. Partly cloudy skies, 32% humidity as the sun continues to set. So, yeah, I believe it is, sunset to night transition. So, of course, track conditions are going to change as the night goes on. Now, we are in the desert, but at the same time, this is virtual. So, interpret that however you want to. 32% humidity. Air temperature and track temperature almost equal there, around 30 to 32 degrees Celsius, and then 85 to 90 Fahrenheit. The wind is going in a southeastern direction around 16-15 kilometers per hour and then 8 to 10 miles per hour. So again, even virtually, the weather can play a big factor in these E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series races on iRacing.
And yeah, if it's anything realistic, like once the sun goes down in the desert, like that heat doesn't stick around for long. So you would expect the track to cool off relatively quickly. And yeah, perhaps add a little bit of mileage to that rubber that they're going to be using over the course of the night, but I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about there regardless.
By the way, I should probably do the quick due diligence of Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue Pole Award to the 3 at Blake Throneburg, of course. His first career pole with us as he still continues to hang on in the race lead here at Phoenix Raceway. He's opened up almost a 2-second gap over the 00. Again, there was some controversy out of the Throneburg construction number 3 last Monday night in a late incident with Corbin McCauley. Of course, just trying to come back to the white flag. But again, racing happens, drama happens, it's playoffs. What do you expect?
I mean, it wouldn't be a NASCAR series without the number 3 getting into a little bit of some kind of entanglement, right?
And definitely not ideal for the 17, who, by the way, is not with us tonight. He is under the weather, so of course our best wishes to him. And of course, hopefully we'll be able to see him back at it if we do end up having a season number 7 in 2026 for the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series, as this is interesting here. The 85 of Raymond Hanneman falling back a little bit.
Well, end of the stage, not necessarily the worst time for that to happen. Get a little bit of a recovery pretty much straight away. I'd imagine we'll be looking at a tire change here. Regardless, there'll be fuel happening during stage 2. Only question is whether you're doing it under yellow or under green.
Actually, you know what? That's the stage checker flag.
Okay, I haven't had it come up to 31.
Yep.
There, I was following 10th place, thankfully.
See, again, stages 30, 62, and 64. So there is the checker flag for stage number 1, and it goes to the 3 of Blake Throneburg. So again, that's not going to do anything, as we were talking about earlier, for this championship thing. It's not going to, but it's certainly a momentum booster, that's for sure.
Yeah, the only flag that matters to these guys tonight is the checkered.
Yeah, the last one with no green in it.
Yeah, the black and white one, obviously.
Yes. This might be the most interactive live chat I have seen yet all season long. I think it even beats Daytona. Of course, JD Magram's in here cheering on his son, CD Magram. Who else? We got Tom Janikowski with a wave, even though he's racing. I know he tends to do that, so that's just good old Tom Janikowski. We got a Crush Your Pride cheering on a Raymond Hanneman. Natasha's also cheering on Raymond.
Gonna say, I figured she wasn't far behind.
Yeah, she's shown up a lot and has shown great support for Hanneman and us. So again, big thanks to her and everybody else. Dennis Janikowski cheering on Tom Janikowski. There's a Brinkerhoff 17 in here as well. So again, thank you all very much for tuning in and supporting our deal.
Brinkerhoff, why is that name familiar? Dan Mattiello, maybe? From a past season?
You would know more about that than me, obviously. I would say.
I know I've heard that, but it's been a minute. I think that's the connection there, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that just yet.
If it is a former driver, then
it
always,
absolutely is.
Then it's always a pleasure to welcome back in some former competitors from past years, knowing that they're still hanging around, still following along in some capacity with what we're doing here with the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Of course, even though they may not be with us, it's still always an absolute pleasure. And of course, there's also a Bryce Fontaine chiming in.
Yeah, he's obviously had his moments as well this season. Big win at Montreal early in the year. Obviously caught a bit of, caught an early playoff exit about a month or so ago at the end of the round of 12, but obviously has shown consistent form whenever he's been on track throughout the season.
So pace car will roll off again. Pit road starts coming at a turn number 2 and going down the backstretch. So these guys have to kind of turtle around a little bit until the dog leg where the start finish line is. But it's Blake Throneburg and Jordan Kalenian on the front row back into the restart zone and back to the green flag to begin stage number 2 in the Blackfly Championship race.
And yeah, we'll see how Throneburg's able to control the field. Did a solid job off of the initial green. And yeah, immediately goes low to make sure that he's able to cover off any opposition.
Side by side, come back to the old Kalenian. Had a bit of a handful there coming out of the final corner. Not sure who led that lap, but the 00 hanging on, trying to utilize his incredible racecraft that we have seen all season long. Again, an 11-time winner. He won half the regular season. He's won 4 of 6 playoff races thus far. Looking to make it 5 for 7 here tonight. Swept the round of 8. Remember these two from last Monday on the last lap, and they're still banging doors.
Yeah, still, I mean, a long way to go in this one. Oh, more contact. Yeah, that is just, they're almost glued together almost.
Incredible stuff.
Oh boy. Now Bailey wants a piece of the action.
I think the 00 might have tagged the outside wall there as well, but yes, Scott Bailey has come into the picture. Raymond Hanneman is all the way back in 12th after those pit stops we saw under the yellow flag.
Yeah, I wonder if he might be, well, this is the kind of thing I usually praise Scott Bailey for, but I wonder if Raymond Hanneman might be playing a little bit of a long game here. I wonder if maybe he would have taken full service there where fuel wouldn't have necessarily been a requirement just yet, because you're looking at a green flag fuel up regardless in this stage, just based on the window we've got. But yeah, I wonder if maybe it was just a difference in the kind of service provided that's got Hanneman down the field a little.
Well, Hanneman picked up the win at Texas Motor Speedway earlier this season, his first and only win thus far after starting in 16th. He led 37 145 laps. If my memory serves correctly, I think he came around towards the closing stages of the race. Again, that was the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue 200. So yeah, he might be playing the long game. We'll have to wait and see on that. Kalenian might have had a bit of a dive there through 1 and 2. Scott Bailey was loose.
Woo. He sure was, and he's a throwback to season 1, of course. He's the one driver in the field who has contested a championship in this series at Phoenix. Did not go his way that night. It went Ryan Gibson's way for our inaugural season. But Scott Bailey's been here before. 4 seasons. 4th championship, 4 appearance for him. So he's not going to be rattled by this, so he's just going to, I would assume, let Throneburg and Kalenian let things happen in front of him for now, then look to pounce when the moment's right.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, Scott Bailey, in every season he's raced with us in the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series, he has made it to the Championship 4. He was finally successful on the third attempt. The third time was the charm back in season number 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. He didn't win the race. That went to rookie Dylan Baum at the time, but he was the highest finishing of the Championship 4, and that's what sealed the deal for him to become the next driver to etch their name on the Earl Ross Cup. And again, Bailey will look to become the first multi-time champion in saying that. And then there's Jordan Kalenian, Blake Throneburg, and Raymond Hanneman trying to join Ryan Gibson, Darcy Ford, Ty Higginbottom, Corbin McCauley, and then if they were to win, they would technically then also join Scott Bailey in making it another champion and a different one every single year.
Yeah, I'd have to actually do a little bit of thinking here because I'm not sure we've ever had a previous champion make it back to the following season's Championship 4. Have to look at that to confirm, but something in my head has that stat right.
Like going back to back in appearances?
Yeah.
Well, Corbin made it in season 4 and season 5. Bailey made it 1 and 2. Like, are you going off of that realm, or are we not on the same page?
We're not quite on the same page. So what I'm saying is Gibson won in season 1, wasn't Championship 4 in season 2. Darcy
You
Ford,
mean the winning champion going,
yeah.
Okay, I see it. Okay.
The only one who might have gotten back there might have been Darcy Ford in season 3, but again, I'd have to look back to confirm that.
Nope.
Didn't think so.
Yeah, Ryan Gibson, season 1 champion, and then did not make it the next season. Darcy Ford, same thing. Ty Higginbottom, same thing. Scott Bailey, if we're talking about in terms of when he has raced with us, then sure.
That's the loophole, yeah.
But if we don't count that and we're talking consecutive seasons, then yeah, we don't have anyone yet.
Yeah, I was more or less thinking consecutive seasons. To get the complete history, no?
We're stat freaks, we'll put it that way.
Sure, we'll go with that.
And through all of that, Scott Bailey has jumped Jordan Kalenian for second.
Yeah, just kind of lurking there for a little bit, and like I said, was just waiting for the right moment, and yeah, suddenly Throneburg's mirrors are going to be full of another Challenger's car here instead of the 00 that he's been seeing for the lion's share of the night.
100%, so things have calmed down here just a little bit. It's still Blake Throneburg leading the way here at Phoenix Raceway for the Blackfly Championship race. Coming to lap 49 to 156. You're not going to miss any of the action. We're going to go side by side just for a little bit, get some sponsor shoutouts, and what do you know in there. We'll be back in just a little bit for the continuation of live coverage for tonight's Season 6 Earl Ross Cup Playoffs Championship 4 finale at Phoenix.
Rescues, and great organization, and I want Mark to tell us a little bit about responsible ownership in all pets, but especially a little guy that you have here. Could you tell us about Arthur?
Arthur here, he was born a perfectly normal red-eared slider. He has what's known as metabolic bone disease. So he was, over his lifetime, denied proper nutrients and calcium and the basic necessities that a turtle needs to survive and grow properly. So with the compression on his internal organs, this will unfortunately cut his life short. But for now, he enjoys a really great life with the Little Rescue as our premier animal ambassador for animal cruelty and show people what not to do with the turtle.
You know, it's organizations like this that need support. I mean, sure, we all have dog rescues, cat rescues, but when you see a guy like Arthur here, you know, all pets need great care, and this is what the Canadian Pet Expo is about, okay? So come on down, learn about Mark and what he does with Arthur, and support such a great cause, okay? Thanks, Mark.
Good morning, Philip. Time for an oil change. Remember last time?
I'd rather not.
Took 3 hours. You forgot Little Henry's video game. You're not as entertaining as a video game, Philip.
Silence your oil change anxiety at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Get an expert oil change in about 15 minutes with no appointment needed.
Thanks for coming in.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
Welcome back, sim racing fans, to live coverage of the Blackfly Championship race, round number 21 on the season, for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series and iRacing, and also our final race of the season and the Earl Ross Cup Playoffs. The Championship 4 finale continues to be led by the number 3 of rookie Blake Throneburg out of Graham, North Carolina. He has been on a surge from start to finish after winning the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue Pole. Been leading, I believe, all but I would say 1 or 2 laps. Jordan Kalenian did get in the mix there early on, but he... I did say he had fallen back to 4th in behind CD Magram, but the 1 has come down pit road at a 29-lap stint.
Yeah, it looks like Janikowski might be in there. He is in the background, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, as I think that's a let in behind as well. Andy Hurdle the same. I would have figured pit stops wouldn't be happening for another 10 or 15 laps if we were assuming that drivers got full service during that stage caution. But maybe there's something more in play here for this particular group to be coming in a little early.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier something that might have happened there with the 15 at Kyle Knoll. Not an incident, but 2 laps down, everybody, including him, I would say, did come down at there come the leaders, so our fuel window might be completely off. Our drivers might have strategies at play possibly here, but as I was saying, Kyle Knoll, we saw him there at about 15 laps stint while everybody else was way higher in the 20s, close to 30. But you mentioned hearing possibly some penalty fiascos.
Well, that's what I'm seeing in the iRacing chat. Yeah, there was a reference to a penalty there potentially. We didn't see it live in real time, of course, but that's the overall vibe I'm getting. And yeah, now we've had one of our championship 4s taken the early bait to come in.
That's Blake Throneburg, so 5 cars left on the lead lap to still come down pit road.
Including the other 3 championship contenders.
Navi Bailey first, Kalenian second, Raymond Hanneman currently placed in 4th, and then sandwiched in between is your best of the rest boy, Jared Ireland.
Indeed so. So we'll see just how long this group's able to extend.
There goes
and
Bailey.
On cue.
Yes.
By 1 lap anyway.
Curious to see how the weather may have possibly changed. Humidity is up just a little. Track temperatures are down just the taddest. Again, the night skies are falling over this virtual Phoenix Raceway. So again, things are going to cool down just a little bit for sure. But we've seen too, the temperatures will cool down, but that humidity will go up.
100%. And I mean, that's, well, typically you would think desert, you would think dry, so certainly the humidity levels aren't nearly what we've seen in other places over the course of the year, but could provide still a little bit of a slip factor for our drivers, especially once the tires start to get a little worn.
Jared Ireland goes to pit road. So 4 cars left on the lead lap at 36, 37 lap stints. So that, yeah, Jordan Kalenian and Raymond Hanneman still have to make their way down. Kalenian went way up high there going through 1 and 2. I was on the 4-day of Scott Bailey. What I was going to say there was the only driver, or no, one of 2 drivers in this field that is a previous Phoenix winner. Ryan Gibson, of course, sealed the deal with the championship back in season 1 in a hard-fought battle against Corbin McCauley. Scott Bailey picked up the win the next season when Phoenix was then changed to an early season deal. I believe it was round number 2 on the year. Jose Mercado took in season 3 as the penultimate race, which was able to help him. It won his way into the championship 4 in our final console season. Season 4, we didn't even go to Phoenix Raceway. We were kind of getting away from the whole short track deal because, again, it was the first year on iRacing. We were prioritizing the bigger racetracks for the most part. I believe there was a North Wilkesboro in there, though, for a... My memory is failing me completely right. Yeah, it was a throwback deal.
Yes, and yeah, meanwhile, I'm watching Kalenian in pit lane.
Yes.
So he lasts 39 laps that stint. So realistically, the fuel window's probably about where we were thinking. So maybe strategic undercuts came into play after all.
And then Phoenix went back to being an early season race last year, which Corbin McCauley ended up taking. One of many wins en route to his championship that season. Again, Jordan Kalenian was the winningest driver in 2024 as well, although in that case, though, Corbin only just had a couple less wins than him, but was still able to overpower him by just one position to take home the win in the championship last year. This time around, we've seen Blake Throneburg possibly trying to be that driver with less victories, although it's a lot wider of a margin when you put all the statistics together, because, of course, Jordan Kalenian having 11 wins on the year, again, single season wins record that was broken a couple of races back even. But then the next driver with 2 victories on the year would be a tie between C.D. Mangrum and Scott Bailey. Blake Throneburg could try and possibly get into that tie here tonight. Raymond Handyman could as well. So anything could happen still. Still plenty of time remaining. Again, the stage length on paper for Stage 2 was 62. However, of course, with the caution period, a couple laps, pace laps, and everyone going to pit road, it took us down to about 60 or so. But when it says lap 92 on the screen, that will be the last lap for stage number 2.
Yeah, indeed so. And yeah, the beautiful thing about, well, the beauty and the curse, as we see McDonald reversing into his pit box. Yeah, beauty and curse of all of those stats that you just mentioned, not one of them matters tonight. Because that is, yeah, it's all about where you are at the end. How many times have we said you can't win a race off the start, but you can certainly lose it there? Literally, the first 155 laps are about building up to 156 and making sure you're in the right place at the right time to potentially take that last bit of glory for this season.
So Raymond Hammond takes to lap 78. Now is the race leader on a 45-lap stint now. He is still stuck it out on the racetrack. And then for all the cycling out at the moment, Blake Throneburg on 13-lap stint versus Scott Bailey's 10 now. It's 3.5 seconds between the two of them. Hanneman's still staying out. Jordan Kalenian's back in 6th, although again, when Hanneman goes to pit road, I'm sure that's going to be 5th.
You would have to think so. Again, I haven't really been paying close enough attention to know just how much time you lose on a pit stop, but I think if you're Raymond Hanneman in this case, you're looking at stretching this out as much as you can to the point where potentially you can get away with one more fuel up early in stage 3 rather than, having to top up during the stage 2 caution, which, I mean, could help, but certainly we'll have to see. But yeah, we'll have to see how the long game works out for the 85 in stage 2. Granted, the stage win doesn't matter tonight, but the track positioning absolutely will. As 85's pitting.
Raymond Hanneman goes to pit road. With all the cycling out, that's going to put Jordan Kalenian into 4th, I believe, and he'll be chasing after C.D. Mangrum for 3rd.
Indeed he will. Of course, it is Throneburg that's still the driver to watch, as he's pretty much led this one from Jump Street.
Trying to pull off a massive upset here. And based on history, obviously not counting the whole, first season Ryan Gibson picks up the championship, this would be our first rookie championship.
Correct.
Jordan Kalenian came very close last year, one position short. So Blake Throneburg's looking to become that first driver in this case here. And yeah, you see Raymond Hanneman coming out here. He's 1 lap down. He had stayed out for quite some time there, but because of that pit stop, he's still going to have fresher tires against the 3 of Blake Throneburg. It was only a 9.4 second time for the 85, so my assumption there is only 2 tires for him, but he's still going to get by Blake Throneburg very easily as the 3 went way up the hill and almost tagged. the outside wall.
I mean,
Kyle Knoll on pit road.
not the worst idea. Realistically, if you're looking at it as sort of a 10-lap sprint to get to the next caution and get your full service in at that point. No, I don't mind that from Hanneman, and yeah, he'll have the speed to make up some time. Certainly, maybe get himself back into the top 10. Not that stage points matter tonight, of course, but yeah, just could be a strategic play thinking ahead to the third and final stage as Janikowski brushes.
Hanneman gets past Higginbottom for 11th. Just over 3, almost 3.5 seconds still between the 3 and the 48 as... I don't recall if that's Throneburg getting away from Matthew McDonald or that's the 25 catch. Yeah, I think it's the 25 catching because 9 laps in versus 21 makes a difference.
And also 25 being 1 lap down still.
Yeah, trying to get back on the lead lap as you saw Raymond Hammond do earlier. He's already back up to 9th. He passed Tom Janikowski and Andy Hurdle.
He's just burning through whatever tires he took.
Kalenian looks to be slowly closing the gap between him and the 48. So again, this is not going to matter whatsoever when we get to that stage caution.
Nope.
But it might give the 00 possibly an idea on a run like this of what he may have to do and what he may be capable of for that third and final stage, which is again going to be the one that matters the most.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of intel gathering that would be happening at this particular point, particularly as the track conditions continue to change. We're fully into the night component now, I would imagine, or fairly close to it. See, the sky is getting darker. And yeah, you would have to imagine that our Championship 4 is mapping out different ways, different options to make things work when the time comes for them to make that final charge.
Almost down to a second between the 48 and the 00. You know what? TrackGames22.com replay. Yep.
Yeah, you go for that. I am just going to watch like a hawk to make sure I don't miss my lap counter.
Yep. Again, lap 92 is the last lap for the 3 at Blake Throneburg, who does have a couple of cars ahead of him, although Matthew McDonald is getting completely away again with that stint compared to some of these other guys. So popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go in stage number 2 for the Fat Boy Designs. And the Throneburg Construction number 3. Trying to bring the Earl Ross Cup back to the United States for the first time since Scott Bailey. Of course, Corbin McCauley returning it back to Canada for the first time since last year, for the first time since Darcy Ford in season number 2. So we've had our Canadian champions, American champions, and of course, we got 3 Americans trying to keep it on that side of the North American continent tonight. And then there's the one in Raymond Hanneman, who again, as we were talking about earlier, trying to play the long game and get the job done in the late going and surprise us all and have it back-to-back years with a Canadian champion for the first time. But first, of course, not there just yet. Stage number 2, checker flag. Blake Throneburg will go 2 for 2 with Scott Bailey 2nd, Jordan Kalenian 3rd, Jarrett Ireland 4th, C.D. Magrum 5th, Jose Mercado 6th, Justin Belmonte 7th. Belmonte 7th, Hanneman will come around in 8th. And then Marini 9th. And Matthew McDonald 10th. Might as well throw the caution. There we go.
All right. Back into a bit of a groove, I guess.
So that sends Throneburg now to 3 stage wins on the year for car number 3. So 2 tonight. His last one came all the way back at Homestead on May 5th.
Yeah, that's also not yesterday.
Nope. As I would say, everybody except Andy hurdled to pit road.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to be our turtle target.
Yeah,
Him or Janikowski?
Well, Janikowski is on pit road, though. So.
Yeah, and Hurdle's still listed on my screen as 1 lap down. So
Because they just passed him on pit road, technically.
Well, no, he had been 1 lap down prior to that, I think.
Well, no, it kind of swapped back and forth there. He passed them, then he didn't, whatever. It was back and forth. But anyways, we'll still play it because he,
yes,
I would say, is indeed the lucky turtle presented by Little Rescue, Reptile Rescue. So again, thanks to them, Audrey's Legacy, all the people involved in that whole effort. Everybody off pit road. Blake Throneburg. Ty Higginbottom. And then Jordan Kalenian. But Higginbottom is a lap down, so technically it's Kalenian, which could be huge.
Yeah, and you don't happen to have those pit times, do you?
Top 6 are all at 14.5 to just about 15. Raymond Hanneman went for only 8 seconds on his stop. Maybe there was a thing earlier. Maybe we saw him getting one side tires. Maybe you got the other side this time. That could be fair speculation. And then, yeah, everybody except the 85 had about 14 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, so clearly a difference in services offered there is, yeah, you see, yeah, lap drivers dropping down into the kind of deeper part of the dog leg to try and get everything into some kind of order.
And we might as well do it, because this will be the 3rd and final stage of the season. One last dash to the checker flight to end this season. Thank you to Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue, GTR Motorsports, Nordic Aluminum, Tornado Alley Racing, Zesty Paws, Amera Parker Racing, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, Low Rescue, Reptile Rescue, Repulinks, Pizza Main, Audrey's Legacy, Blackfly for tonight. And of course, TrackCams22.com. Thank you to all of you for sponsoring, supporting what we do here in the E-Motorsports Network, and for the NASCAR Series for season number 6. Without you, we wouldn't be able to be doing this every single Monday night, or at least most of them. Labor Day, blah, blah, blah. But to the green flag, 3rd and final stage of the season. One last ride to the checkered flag. It's a little dicey in behind for first. We're going to be 3 wide down the back for 3rd. Scott Bailey on the bottom and Mercado Magram. Magram actually backed off out of that.
Yeah, a little bit of an interstate restart here as Throneburg just trying to run away and hide like he has for the majority of tonight's race.
This is the time for these other Final 4 drivers to prove what they've learned over this one here tonight and see if maybe they can adjust just a little bit better to the nighttime conditions here at the virtual Phoenix Raceway. Again, for Jordan Kalenian, Scott Bailey, and Raymond Hanneman, this is your time to shine. This is the time to blossom. Because if not, then the Earl Ross Cup right now is in the hands of the 3 of Blake Throneburg. Right now with the best shot at taking home the Earl Ross Cup back to Graham, North Carolina.
Oh, some contact in the back.
Yes, I believe that was Tom Janikowski.
Yeah, definitely saw the puff of smoke there in the background.
So yeah, your top 3 are 3 of the Championship 4 drivers. Meanwhile, Raymond Hanneman back here still a tad struggling there towards the back of the top 10. See, Magram got past him. Just over half a second between the 3 and the 00. I'm not sure what Blake put into that number 3 car for tonight, but man, oh man, has it ever been on a roll thus far here at Phoenix Raceway. And again, when these guys do, I would imagine, make their final pit stops later in this one. And that will be the final determining factor to see how all this will shape out. And you know what? If we are going to have a battle possibly brewing here in just a little bit, we might as well do it with the engines cranked up, volumes all the way up. For one final time here in season number 6, we will go cranking it up, presented by TrackCams22.com. Again, thanks very much to them for providing us with these custom camera packages that you have seen for each and every one of our races here in season number 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. So, turn up those speakers, get those volumes up. These engines are going to be cranked up here for a couple laps. We'll be back in just a little bit, but you're going to see all the action here live still. It's the TrackCams22.com. Crank it up. So again, thanks to TrackHams22.com for powering the Crank It Up for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series and iRacing, and also our 6th annual Earl Ross Cup Playoffs here for the Blackfly Championship race, the Championship 4 finale. As, yeah, while we were doing all that talking, you saw it there on the onboard of the 41 of Jose Mercado. It looked like something happened with him there alongside the 48 of Scott Bailey down the backstretch. Oh, yeah, Bailey was all the way up in the... Yeah, Kalenian and Bailey were both up there in the wall at that point. Not sure if it's here. Yes, it is. Mercado just lost it on his own.
Meanwhile, more fireworks have happened a little bit further down the board here, as it looks like Kyle Knoll and Matthew McDonald have gotten together at some point. And in the midst of all that, Raymond Hanneman's made his final pit stop as well. That's why you see him one lap down at the moment.
Yeah, McDonald was up there in the wall. Okay.
So how that didn't wind up in... Well, I guess everyone wound up going in the same direction still. Yeah. No wonder Ireland is also talking about it. He was very much involved in it.
Bailey to pit road. Oh, whoa!
Oh!
Again, the 41.
Yeah, some strange things happening at the moment.
I'm guessing that's another driver that just slipped up. Yeah, it's just classic Gen 7. It just loses the back end.
And that wasn't a replay, to be clear. Because we'd seen him do something similar during the Crank It Up, I believe.
Yes. See, I'm not sure what would just happen there. Again, no one fully spun, which is why there wasn't an automatic caution, which again, a reminder for all these races this season and this final one as well. We go off of automatic cautions. There's nothing manual. We let the iRacing service decide if we are going to have a caution. Again, this is a whole part. This is completely separated from the stage cautions. Those are manual. But any incident, anything incident related, it's up to the iRacing service. It's up to them if we have a full course caution or not. Full course is full course is what you hear for road and street courses usually, but again, that's the term that iRacing does use on their platforms. So again, no one fully spun. It was just a bunch of wall contact cars, door to door, kind of playing bumper cars and such. So that's why we didn't get the caution. Same thing with Jose Mercado there. And again, we didn't have anyone like slow down or come to a complete rest either. Thus, the reason why we're still going green flag racing here on lap 123 of 156 now. So just about approaching 30 laps to go, and it's still all Blake Throneburg. Just over 3 seconds ahead of the 00 Jordan Kalenian. 8 cars left in the lead lap. Scott Bailey made his way down pit road 2 laps ago, or I guess he'll be coming to 3 laps ago. Raymond Hanneman came in 7 laps ago. He's in 14th, 1 lap down. So again, yeah, we're gonna see if that 85, like we were talking about earlier, might have something at play for these closing laps.
Well, if you got anything left in the tank, this is when you deploy it. This is when it matters. There literally is no tomorrow. There is no next race. There's not even a next stage. This is when it matters, and you just gotta get it done at this point.
Yeah, there's only a white flag and a checker flag left, and I guess if these drivers want to throw in a yellow flag, then sure, we'll see about that. Jordan Kalenian to pit road now, 30 laps. The stint for these guys that have not made it back. So yeah, either we're completely off on the fuel window, or these drivers just have strategies at play.
Yeah, it could be more or less a split the stage in half kind of thing in terms of number of green flag laps.
Yeah, for
certainly now, Throneburg will have the tire advantage, you would have to think, whenever he comes in.
Yeah, for most of the fuel windows that we put together anyways, those are just rough estimates. And usually we end up having drivers all the time completely forgetting that window and putting strategies together to come in early. They might go way beyond the window. And again, it's always a rough estimate as your leader, Blake Throneburg, down pit road. And hopefully for him, we do not have a repeat of 2 years ago.
No, let's see. He's got the 2 tires up. Just took 2.
Okay. Scott Bailey also took 2 on his stop. Raymond Hanneman took all 4.
Well. We shall see what ultimately will work the best. Now, of course, the others will have a tire life advantage over Hanneman because he was the first of the Championship 4 to come in. And he also still has to get back on the lead lap as part of all this, but that should be cycle, you would think.
Yeah, so all the Championship 4 except Raymond Hanneman took just 2 tires on their stops. It was Bailey 9.3 and 9.5 for Throneburg, another 9.3 for Kalenian. And then Hanneman was almost exactly 15 seconds. He went for all 4 tires on his stop. Again, he's on a 13-lap stint compared to Bailey at 9. Throneburg and Kalenian are both at 2 and 3. And through all that, remember too, Scott Bailey is now technically your Championship 4 leader by 3 seconds over the 3. Kalenian is under 2 seconds back of the 3. Raymond Hanneman still has to get himself back on the lead lap. There's only 8 cars left on the lead lap. Of course, Jose Mercado and Jared Ireland still have to make their way down. And then Higginbottom, Janikowski, Mark Roulette, as I'm saying that, is now going to go to pit road.
Yeah, so how many times have we spoken of Scott Bailey kind of not doing as much as maybe other drivers early, but yet still finds himself in the competitive window when it matters? Now, Throneburg is certainly putting a dent into that lead right now. It's roughly 2 seconds net lead if you're talking on track. But yeah, we'll see how Bailey's able to hang on. And yeah, of course, he's got the tire disadvantage ultimately as well. But if there's anyone who's going to be able to do it, I think we've said a few times this year that the 48's more than capable.
Oh, that gap has significantly closed now between the 48 and the 3. It's now down to a 1.5 seconds. Much more pace out of the 3. Although we are noticing the 00, he's like up and down with the 3 in terms of the average pace that we can see on. Or I'm not sure if we're seeing the same leaderboard, but I'm not sure if you have the average pace on your side as well. But it's kind of flipping back and forth with the 3 and the 00. It's now at almost 2.5 seconds between the 3 and the 00. Down to a second between the 48 and the 3. And under that even.
Yeah, I can certainly pull that up on this side.
Jose Mercado and Jared Ireland are still trying to push things here now on 39 lap stints. Coming to 20 laps to go.
They're hanging out as long as they possibly can. As we're now looking at 39 lap stints, 40 now for both of them.
Here comes Blake Throneburg trying to regain back that Championship 4 lead, and it would be regaining the race lead too when the 41 and the 13 eventually do come down pit road. We're coming to 21 laps to go this time by. I'm not sure if Scott Bailey will be able to play any sort of defense here, knowing Throneburg's pace.
I wouldn't envy his chances, but he is a wily driver when he needs to be. Which is for all of about 2 corners from when we started discussing the possibility. Although, he's making it competitive as Mercado makes his way in.
Bailey's still trying to hang on, but he shoots up high, and Throneburg will get past easily. And then you see Jordan Kalenian right there in the background just trying everything he can to somehow still have a shot. And Scott Bailey's still trying to hang on along the rear bumper of the 3, who I have no doubt is going to clear the way and get away, pace-wise.
Yeah, at this point, I think anyone who's kind of outside the picture, I think they're just going to be hoping for a late yellow to bring everyone together.
So we'll be coming to 18 laps remaining from a massive upset here, possibly. Knock on wood for Graham, North Carolina's Blake Throneburg. Only one win on the year thus far is back at Talladega in a photo finish against Bryce Fontaine. And right now en route to 2 victories on the year. But comparing that to Jordan Kalenian with 11 between the regular season and playoffs combined, of course you're going to have your people out there from both sides of the fan spectrum. Your traditionalists when it comes to the full season points format, and then you'll have your people on the playoff side where it's like it's increasing the intensity, and again, it's just about what, for these drivers, they have to capitalize when it matters the most. And sure, there's the whole criticism on one race or whatever, but again, we've seen these playoffs certainly serve as intense and wild here in Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. And clearly, we're seeing this out here. Blake Throneburg. Oh.
Still green, though.
Ty Higginbottom with a problem.
Yeah, probably just loose out of that turn like we've seen on a couple of occasions tonight. As, yeah, there's no bump on Hanneman, just loses it.
And just like Jose Mercado, the left front into the inside wall.
Yep.
So he's currently hanging on 13, 2 laps down. Raymond Hanneman's up to 6th after the earlier stuff. Jordan Kalenian is starting to close in on Scott Bailey. But Blake Throneburg is long gone.
Yeah, roughly 1.6 seconds, 1.5, depending on the lines that get taken. But remember, like, I know it's been a long time since we got all the processes in place for Season 6, but remember going back to those test races, we identified Blake Throneburg as a potential candidate to make some stuff happen this season. And, you know, the wins weren't there in the regular season. Got his first at Talladega. That night in the winner's interview, he told us he's more of a short track guy. And while it's not Martinsville or Bristol, excuse me, Phoenix only being a little bit of right at that 1 mile, I mean, maybe that mentality is applying here, and maybe that's why Throneburg's just been absolutely on it from the moment the green flag dropped. It's just been absolutely on rails, that 3.
I mean, he has a top 10, I believe he has a top 10 streak going all the way back to Richmond, where there's a 3rd, there's a 9th, 8th, 7th, 4th to conclude the regular season. For his playoff run, 10th, 5th, 1st, 2nd.
Hey, he's hanging around. It's hard to argue with the results. We were, again, kind of looking at him from the side as the guy that could well be a challenger at this point. And now that he's got the right venue, he's showing really what he's made of, as he's about to try and put his fellow Championship 4 contender and Rookie of the Year contender here in Raymond Hanneman, trying to put him 1 lap down for a little bit of insult to injury here.
It's certainly not helping for the driver out of Ottawa, Ontario. And yeah, you can make your arguments too with the between the 3 and the 00. You've seen Jordan Kalenian winning time and time again. But you could make that argument that when he's not winning, there seems to be struggles. And every now and then, like, he'll win one race, he'll not finish the other one because of something that goes down, usually out of his control. Then he wins another one. It kind of keeps going back and forth. Meanwhile, as I was saying about Blake Throneburg, ever since Richmond, he's had some stuff happen every now and then, but nothing to have him outside the top 10. And recently outside the top 5 and the podium.
And I mean, yeah, you definitely don't want to get, diagnosed with front runner syndrome, for lack of a better term. But yeah, overall, the consistency's been there for the 3, and you felt that momentum gradually building over the course of the year. Of course, it peaked with that win on the super speedway, and again, a bit of an irony for short track connoisseur. But now, like I said before, now that he's got a venue that's obviously he's comfortable with, it is just hammer down.
8 laps to go, coming to 7 this time by for car number 3. Meanwhile, way behind him, exactly 3.5 seconds back, Jordan Kalenian's trying to chase down Scott Bailey to at least finish where he finished last year and not finish one position worse. And again, for the driver, again, when you think about it, just one win away from Corbin McCauley in all-time wins, 19 versus 20, which is done 2 seasons, within 2 seasons compared to a Corbin McCauley since season 1. Singles, and then he gets the outside wall there. That's not going to help as C.D. Magrum will try and get past him for that final podium position. Ty Hegemon's 2 laps down, so it's whatever there. But as I was saying, singles season wins record with 11 victories between the regular season and the playoffs. Won half the regular season. Swept the round of 8. Has gone 4 for 6 in playoff wins thus far. And then there's this one race where he has to get the job done. And Blake Throneburg is just about 5 laps away from making all that come crashing down just because of one singular race.
Which is where we saw a bit of a strange caution last year. Incident related, of course. We're not Michael Masseying this. We're going to provide entertainment for the masses, not Massey. Right around that pit lane exit, as a matter of fact, is where that would have happened. But yeah, for Jordan Kalenian, like you say, just absolutely dominant up to this point. But it's almost like Heartbreak Hill at the Boston Marathon. It's that kind of make or break point where you either do it or you don't. And right now, it is not trending in his direction with just a few miles to go.
So unless something catastrophic happens with the 3, this is all his at the moment. He'll be coming to 3 laps to go this time by, 3 laps away from becoming the next Earl Ross Cup champion. Yet another season with a different one. Jose Mercado was sideways and went up the hill.
He tried.
We stay green. As I was saying, it's all Throneburg's unless we get a late race caution, which we had a ton of those last Monday at Las Vegas. So as soon as Throneburg gets back to the line, there's just one more lap. And that's all the time left for a caution.
Yeah, just a matter of whether or not he's going to get to that white flag, because, he is clear of everybody else.
Right now, we're in line for Throneburg, Bailey, Kalenian, and Raymond Hanneman for the Championship 4. Throneburg just has to make it back across the backstretch. Into these final 2 corners and to the start-finish line, the white flag will go out for the Season 6 Blackfly Championship race. Last lap for car number 3 out of Graham, North Carolina. Blake Throneburg looking to become the first rookie champion in series history.
And he has absolutely shown up when it matters here tonight, folks. I mean, pole to start. I mean, some early challenges in stage 1 from his fellow Championship 4 competitors, but really, it's felt like the 3s had this under control, and he's about to reap the rewards, and there it is.
Yes, sir. Season 6 Earl Ross Cup champion. The number 3 of Blake Throneburg out of Graham, North Carolina will carve his name onto the prestigious Earl Ross Cup as the first ever rookie champion, on top of win number 2 on the season.
And hey, it's right place, right time. It's hard to fault Blake Throneburg at all. Just an absolutely masterful performance here at Phoenix Raceway. And, reminiscent of some of the Kalenian-esque performances, but given the stage, given the timing, Blake Throneburg put his absolute best out there for last, capitalized again when it mattered the most, and now he finds himself with another championship in the cabinet.
So you saw there Throneburg, Mager, and Bailey all to start finish line for the quick photo that we get for later. And you know what? Jared Ireland can join in as well because he is also officially the best of the rest champion, joining Justin Belmonte.
Yeah, he had himself, tonight he had a good run as well. He had started third, maybe fell down the field. Well, finished sixth, last car on the lead lap, so might help if I actually look at the timing screens every once in a while. But, he's the guy that, had he been around maybe a little bit more in the regular season, we would have very much seen him in a playoff position. So perhaps not necessarily a surprise to see him as best of the rest for this season especially, but still proving to be a very capable driver regardless.
He'll doing the burnouts here on the straightaway. A little bit of a clap to the wall, but I mean, it doesn't matter at this point anyways.
Nope.
So yeah, for the second time in series history, a champion is crowned at Phoenix Raceway for the first time since this series first began back in 2020. So Blake Throneburg will join Ryan Gibson in that group. And yeah, Ryan Gibson, Darcy Ford, Ty Higginbottom, Scott Bailey, Corbin McCauley, and now Blake Throneburg will bring the Earl Ross Cup back to the United States for the first time since Scott Bailey 2 years ago.
Yeah, just like I said, it's hard to go too much further beyond him just being utterly dominant when it mattered, and just fantastic drive from the three. And once everyone kind of got settled, it really felt like it was not necessarily his to lose, but certainly he had the car under him that was going to take him a long way.
100%. So we weren't able to get the pre-race show video in, so we might as well get the post-race one in. Of course, again, presented by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Here is the post-race show, including unofficial results and the interview with tonight's Blackfly Championship race winner and your Season 6th Annual Earl Ross Cup champion, Blake Throneburg. And you know what? We'll play the turtle again. Why not?
I mean, it seems to show up regardless, so why not keep the theme going?
Indeed. So here are your unofficial results for tonight's event. Of course, Blake Throneburg, as you see on the screen there, the human figure, car number 3, Chevrolet. And also at the top of the unofficial results for tonight's Blackfly Championship race, he picks up the win over CD Magrum, just about almost a 5-second gap between the 3 and the 1. So a strong finish to the season for CD Magrum, which again makes me think back to when he was eliminated earlier in the playoffs. Man, oh man, if he was still here and eligible for the Earl Ross Cup, I can only imagine he would have certainly been in contention for it, but he'll have to try again in Season 7, 2026, pending that we do end up doing a Season 7. Scott Bailey, Jordan Kalenian, 3rd and 4th. We did see Scott Bailey lead a couple laps there. We thought maybe there was a chance that he had something for Throneburg, but the 3 was just all out with that pace that he had. And then Jordan Kalenian just seemed like he didn't have the pace that we had seen all playoffs long, all season long, quite frankly, just wasn't able to get the job done here at Phoenix. So he will come up 3rd overall in the championship. So yeah, 1 spot lower than last year, but nonetheless, an outstanding, phenomenal season, record-breaking season for the 00 Jordan Kalenian, regardless of the race and the championship. Justin Belmonte rounds out the top 5, and then for the lead lap cars, it's Jared Ireland, your best of the rest champion in 6th. Raymond Hanneman will come up 4th, the final driver of the championship for their 1 lap down. We thought he had maybe some strategies at play, but again, nothing seemed to go his way either here tonight. Jose Mercado, we saw a lot of stuff going on with him in the late going here. We thought he was going to be the culprit of a late race caution or two. Came home 8th. Mike Marini and Andy Hurdle round out the top 10, so a bunch of veterans in there, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And the rest of the way, again, a 15-car field. We saw Tom Janikowski come home 11th, 1 lap down. Ty Higginbottom 12th, 2 laps down. That's your Season 3 champion. Mark Goulet 13th. Matthew McDonald, the rookie, 14th. And rounding at the field, position number 15, car number 15. That is Kyle Knoll, 18 laps down. Not the ending of the season that he wanted, but anyways, those are your unofficial results for the Blackfly Championship race here at Phoenix Raceway. We now go into Discord. Yes, we do have a Blake Throneburg in the voice chat, so I'd say might as well go on in there and have a chat with your new Earl Ross Cup champion.
Yeah, the man has ascended to the throne. Let's hear from him.
I think your mic's muted, Riggs.
Yes, it is, because you got to check settings.
Yeah.
But clearly,
on, fellas?
You can hear us. We can hear you, Blake Throneburg. How about it? Did you at all expect this going into tonight? You are now the next Earl Ross Cup champion here within the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. First rookie to get the championship, and you become the 6th different driver within 6 seasons. Only 2 wins now on the year compared to, again, 11 from Jordan Kalenian. We've been talking about that time and time again. But again, playoffs, championship 4, 1 race, 4 drivers to settle it. And you chose the perfect night to capitalize and get the job done. Again, as I said earlier, did you at all expect this coming? Or did you go into tonight having the confidence and knowing that it was going to be you?
I knew I was going to have a chance. Knew I was going to be there. We ran a little test session last night, and me, and I mean, all 4 of the guys were same speed. You couldn't really tell how long run speed, but I did some testing today and just kind of figured out what I wanted to do and the pace I wanted to set for the tire wear. And I knew if I could just keep it from just only having to take 2 sides during the green flag stop, I was going to be all right and have a shot at it at the end.
100%. And Jordy and I talked a couple of times here tonight about our expectations and seeing you come through with us at the start of this season again. First year running with us here in the E-Motorsports Network and the NASCAR Series. You really showed yourself well back during Daytona Speed Weeks with some strong performances during the dual races and also during the GTR 250 and then the rest of the way. Plenty of strong finishes and strong showings, and of course it especially showed more towards playoff time with so many top 10 finishes. A top 10 streak that I didn't exactly get the count on, even though I literally did go through it. I didn't get the exact number on it, but undefeated in the top 10 since Richmond. So again, as I said earlier, you chose the right night to get the job done and get this championship, but also ever since Richmond, that finale for the in-season tournament, you have been on rails ever since then, at least consistency-wise, and with a couple wins in there on top of that throughout the playoffs, Talladega, and here tonight in the Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix Raceway. So to see yourself coming through this season, getting better each and every night, and really closer to the end of the regular season through the playoffs where you really start to blossom, like, take us through your progress throughout the season and what it means to come through, especially in the later stages of this season.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a big short track guy. I didn't start racing these, cup cars until actually I knew I was going to come into this league. First part of the season, I'm not gonna lie to you. I figured I could just hop in these things. I'm pretty decent at the short track and just run the practice on Sunday evenings and just go at it. But man, I underestimated these guys are pretty quick and these cars act totally different. So probably after Richmond, I think me and my spotter talked about it. I was like, man, we're just going to have to turn laps. I'm just going to have to figure something out. I mean, all these guys are good. Jordan kind of stood out with his season with 11 wins, but man, all these guys are good from 1 through 15. So just figured out how the car worked. Had to really figure out strategy. Short track is just all you got until, they either drop the caution flag or the checkered. So on this one, you had to figure out strategy and once we kind of put our heads together, like you said, Brent, like thank you for him. He's my spotter. Him and his son Jake. We got a plan figured out. We just started going there, man, and we just hit a hot streak and just kept the momentum all the way here.
And to join such a elite list of drivers who have carved their name on the Earl Ross Cup: Ryan Gibson, Darcy Ford, Ty Higginbottom, Scott Bailey, Corbin McCauley, and now there's going to be Blake Throneburg as the 2025 recipient of the Earl Ross Cup. To hear those names and just compiling all of them into such an elite list right there on top of all these other outstanding and highly elite drivers throughout this season that you participated with, to join that list and to be participating with these guys, what does it mean to hear all that?
Yeah, man, it's an honor. I mean, this league right here. I mean, the people I tell about, like, I'm pretty sure my dad's watching, a couple of my buddies are watching, my little brother. I mean, y'all are just top notch. I mean, I just got to give hands down to everybody that's got involved. And then just to be a part of this league is pretty sweet, man. And to add my name to those guys, I mean, you see when you go out here and you look at the times, you look at the win list, and all the stats, it's those guys' names right up at the top. So it's an honor, like I said. Thanks to the man above. Without him, it wouldn't be possible. So, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to next season, and hopefully we start a little bit stronger than we did this season.
100%. That will give you plenty of momentum and confidence trying to go for back-to-back possibly. Again, knock on wood that a Season 7 does come through in 2026. So yeah, you're joining the best of the rest. And yeah, from our live chat, there's a Michael Langley coming in saying, great win from the Carolina boy, a great championship, Blake. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Jordy, what do you got for Blake tonight?
Yeah, so first off, congratulations, Blake. That'll be, you'll be getting a lot of that over the course of the evening and the coming days, I'm sure. Yeah, no problem at all. And I'm glad you mentioned the kind of short track background that you had, because that was something that you told us about after the Talladega win as well. And now, while it's not a Martinsville or Bristol setup, obviously, Phoenix a little bit shorter at that 1 mile length. You already talked about having to sort of incorporate the strategy element, but what was it about how everything was kind of set up for you tonight that just made that thing go?
I'm glad I found it tonight, but I found a way to get the car just a little bit loose entering the corner, because these setups that we have, most time they tend to go tight, and it's just all about getting your car turning with dirty air. And I just hit on something tonight, and like I said, I was practicing last night. I felt good early. Today, after I probably practiced around 5 o'clock, I just had a weird feeling, man. It just felt good. It didn't matter how long I ran it. I could run the same line over and over and over again. And it just kind of went back to, like I said, my short track days. If I can run the bottom and keep my speed up, and then I can run up top and still keep my speed, same lap times. I knew I was going to have a really good shot, and as long as I could stay out front, I knew it was going to be hard to pass. Because when I got behind Raymond right there at the beginning of the race, I noticed it was going to be difficult. And then right there when Jordan got by me, I also noticed it was pretty difficult. So I knew I had to get out front, get the clean air, and I could run whatever line I wanted to.
Yeah, and when you did, it was like bordering on mastery almost, the way that everything kind of came together for you here tonight. So, and this was a rare night, given how sort of the last few weeks have gone, the rare night where really not all that much happened on track. So how was it for you just being able to kind of lock into that rhythm eventually and just start being able to tick the laps down, knowing that you had that kind of car underneath you?
Yeah, man. It was one scary moment. I seen Jose. He was probably like 3 or 4 to go. I seen him kind of get loose behind me. I couldn't tell if he hit the wall or if he couldn't. And then I think probably 7 or 8 laps before that, a car got loose. Considered a back stretch now, but the old front stretch, and hit the inside wall. And I thought, that was it. But other than that, man, my spotter, like you said, he was telling me their lap times, telling me where they were at on the track, where they were running, and I knew exactly if I was out front, when I was upshifting, when I was downshifting, just kind of the same thing. It was just basically like I was running laps by myself as long as I could keep a second and a half gap. Right there on the restarts and stuff when they were behind me pushing. Man, it was just kind of on edge. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it looked like I was probably swatting flies in my right here, my sim rig, trying to keep it straight and get drive off. Because like you said, those guys are quick.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of white knuckling there toward the end, knowing that you were getting closer and closer each time.
No, man, we keep it light. Even though it comes down to it, it still is a sim. I wasn't gonna say a video game and piss people off, but yeah, it's just a sim. So man, this is fun. I did get a little excited when I won because man, this is probably the most I put into something in a period of time on this game, and really had to fight because like you said, all of us were the underdogs besides Jordan. If you think about it, I mean that guy has earned the right to be the what I'm saying, big dog in this series because he's got 11 wins, and so me, Scott, and Raymond. I mean, like you said, we had nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? We just did. Like I said, I told my guy, look, man, I'm not saving anything. I'm going. I know what it is, and he gave me the laps to pit on, and man, it worked out. So.
Yeah, and that was 100% the right mentality as we saw over the course of the night. But yeah, the last one I'll leave you with here as we go back into sort of the race analysis. Maybe take me through that kind of defining championship winning move as you came up on Scott with about 25 laps to go. Clearly you were catching him pretty quickly, and was it just a matter of confidence and being able to pick the right line for you to make the move when you did? Or yeah, maybe just take me through that and put me behind the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I was not expecting none of them to pit, so I got to give my spotter a thank you for calming me down there because I wanted to be the first one to pit because I know if I was the first one to pit from the previous stage, I could at least maintain my gap until the race was over. When Scott pit, it kind of threw me for a loop there. My spotter just kept saying, "Hey, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna go 10 after him," and then I think Jordan came right before me, and that was kind of the deciding factor for me to go in. Then once I knew that, I was worried when I came out of the pits right there because I seen that Scott had a 4-second lead. But like I said, once I ran about 3 or 4 laps and seen how I was cutting into it, I just knew that I needed to save a little bit to get there because it's, like you said, the dirty air. As I was coming up to him, my spotter was just trying to let me know where he was running. I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to pass him through the dog leg and stuff like that. I was going to get a run out of 1 and 2 and, get him up under him and get in 3 and then get the run off there. So I just was kind of waiting until he just slipped up just a little bit. I mean, and he didn't. I mean, he was running the fast line, but I just had a little bit fresher tires and I was able to hook the bottom. Thank him, thanks everybody for running me clean, but thank him for, running me clean and, allowing us to race it out.
Yeah, and I guess now that I think about it, one final question that just came up from what you said, like, obviously, you guys had that added stage of being the championship 4, but it does take, a whole field to make this work, and it does take not cooperation per se, because obviously everyone's competitive that's here, but yeah, how satisfying is it as just a pure driver, so to speak, that everything was able to kind of go without a hitch here tonight and not have to really worry about all that much from top to bottom through the field?
Yeah, it just shows skill in this league and, the racecraft that these guys have. I mean, like I said, there's going to be mess ups here and there, especially when everybody's, giving it all they have. But, man, for them guys to know what us 4 had at stake. I mean, most of them guys have been there before. This is not the first time. So, luckily, man, like you said, they got a good system going here. It's a sweet league. Like I said, I hope that I'm welcome back to run more if they have it next year. And yeah, man, that was a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you've got a championship to defend now. So yeah, we shall see how everything goes. But yeah, for tonight, you get to enjoy this one here now, yourself and your team. So once again, congratulations, and yeah, enjoy this one as I go ahead and hand it back to Regan.
Yeah, boy. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You got it.
So yeah, following on what Jordy was saying there, yeah, you got a championship to defend. Now you can brag to your friends, your family, and everybody that you're an E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series champion now. So from friends to family, sponsors, other supporters, marketing partners, who gets the thanks?
Yeah, man. Man upstairs, my wife, my dad, my stepmom, Coco, my brother, all, sponsors, Throneburg Construction, Fat Boy Designs, CR31, Black Magic Performance, just everybody that's helped out and, what I have going on here. Man, just couldn't thank you guys enough for, broadcasting. I mean, like I said, this is probably the most official thing that I've been a part of, and besides, the SAR League and short track. But man, just thank y'all. Looking forward to whenever it is again I get to see y'all, and man, that was a blast. Thank y'all to all the other racers as well.
100%, and we thank you very much for hopping on as one of our rookies here for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. And look at that, all the way from back in April at Daytona to now here, we can call you the first ever rookie champion within our series, and the 6 different 1 through 6 seasons to become the Earl Ross Cup champion. So again, sim racing fans, that was the 3 at Blake Throneburg at Graham, North Carolina for Throneburg Construction and Fat Boy Designs, taking the checkered flag here in tonight's Blackfly Championship race and crowning himself a champion in our NASCAR series for the E-Motorsports Network. So once again, Blake, congratulations. Go celebrate that championship. And if we do have a Season 7, we look forward to having you back to possibly go back-to-back for the first time in series history.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
And so there was the post-race winner interview and champion interview to add on to that with the number 3 of Blake Throneburg. Again, picking up the race, a dominant race win here tonight. I imagine he led all but maybe somewhere between 1 and 5 laps, somewhere within that realm. I'm sure Sim Racer Hub will have it at some point. But of course, Jordy, hard to believe we started back at Daytona with the 6th annual GTR 250 in mid-April, and now here, 5 months later, we have wrapped up yet another season for the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series and iRacing, our 3rd in iRacing and our 6th overall between both of the eras since we first began this thing back in 2020, or when you, I guess, along with a couple others, first began this thing back in the day. But yeah, I mean, ever since 2020, now here in 2025, 6 seasons down, time's flown by, to say the least.
Yeah, that is a 100% fair statement. And this year it felt like there were, pardon the pun, but more twists and turns than we've had in past seasons as well. Yes, there was, of course, the narrative / story of Jordan Kalenian's dominance, but that was purely in the numbers. It wasn't necessarily always reflected in the overall performance of the field, because it felt like nothing was ever a given, for lack of a better term. So the fact that it did get all the way down to the end and there was still that element of unpredictability, it's still been a fantastic season. And, to give our new champion his flowers here tonight, because they are well earned. I mean, Blake Throneburg, how many times did we say, yeah, you can have great performances throughout the majority of the season, but if it doesn't happen when it matters the most, tonight is the one night that counted, and everything lined up for the 3, as he kind of alluded to. And we saw the end result of that. Just, one of the clinical results that normally we would have reserved for the 00, like I mentioned earlier. But tonight it was number 3 who earned his way onto the throne, and he's got the Earl Ross Cup Championship in his hands here now, and I don't see an avenue really to argue that.
100%. No one can argue against an Earl Ross Cup champion. To say the very least, one of the illustrious, prestigious trophies, accomplishments to have on your resume in all of the sim racing world. And here tonight, Blake Throneburg joined that list, and he got that accomplishment, joining 5 other drivers on an elite and respected list here within the E-Motorsports Network and the NASCAR Series. So yeah, it was April 20th when we first began with the GTR 250 at Daytona International Speedway, and now here tonight for the Blackfly Championship race at Phoenix Raceway on September 22nd. There it was. All live coverage now has come to a close here for season number 6. We have crowned a champion and 21 races down.
Check your Facebook chat.
Oh.
Might have just given you a closer.
Okay. We'll get to that. If you want to add some stuff into the dirty air there. I don't know. You've been here since the very beginning. I keep going on and on about how time flies by, and I probably keep giving you reminders of how if I say any word other than old, I think I would still offend you, right?
No, things have come a long way, certainly, since those humble beginnings, and the fact that we're still talking about this 6 seasons later, the fact that we're still racing here now that we're into the triple digits overall for NASCAR races, well into the triple digits, as a matter of fact. We hit that number last season. So, I mean, we'll be getting close to 150 here before too long, I would have to think. I'd have to look at the official numbers to be absolutely sure. But yes, now you see confirmation of what the 3 has ultimately been able to achieve. I just realized I didn't have a trophy graphic. I should have looked for that, but that's totally fine. But I mean,
you can change that for social media.
Yep. The man kind of spoke for himself here tonight. And yeah, once we got into this race, this all or nothing mentality, there might be something to be said actually for coming up through that short track feel where maybe you do have to sort of have the complete picture in mind. And maybe that's where it sort of went in Blake Throneburg's favor in terms of the overall prep tonight, because you can't really take much away from the rest of the championship 4. It just seemed like Blake Throneburg was on an entirely different level. And tonight he reaps the rewards.
100% he does. So again, you'll see this maybe updated with a trophy, as we were just talking about there a couple seconds ago. You'll see this graphic up on our social media pages to officially close out season number 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. I'm sure there's going to be a virtual parade and party in Graham, North Carolina tonight within the next couple days. However you want to put it to make it all the more fun for car number 3 and driver rookie Blake Throneburg, your 2025 Earl Ross Cup champion. So again, for us here tonight, that officially does it for live coverage of the Blackfly Championship race. The Championship 4 finale, the final race, round number 21 on this season for this year's edition of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you all the live action from some of sim racing's most elite all year long, ever since we first began back in April. 6 seasons down, and I'm sure we'll put in all the efforts to have a 7th season in 2026. We may have some stuff during the off season. Again, stay tuned to all of our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook. We also our YouTube channel here as well. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell whenever we may go live at any point, whether it is during the off season within the next couple of months, or possibly may have to wait all the way until next April, perhaps, for this next season of the NASCAR Series. Again, do all that. Stay tuned to social media and our YouTube channel as well for whatever may pop up next for the E-Motorsports Network. So, of course, on behalf of Jordy Kerher, my fellow color commentator here who's been here since the very beginning, competition committee, driver, staff, partners, everyone involved in making this whole thing happen, My name is Regan McCauley out of Prince Edward Island. It has been an honor, pleasure, and privilege to be your voice of the E-Motorsports Network here, and especially for Season 6 of the NASCAR Series. Jory and I bringing you all the exciting action and coverage for what went down from April to now here in season number 6. Once again, congratulations to Blake Throneburg on becoming the next Earl Ross Cup champion. He's going to have a championship to brag about, and then next year defend against the rest of the pack. And so, until next time, we're signing off. That was another edition of E-Motorsports Network Monday Madness. Thank you all for supporting what we've been doing since 2020, and we'll hopefully try to keep this thing alive and going for a 7th season of NASCAR racing in 2026. Take care, and once again, thank you very much.